And what made you, you're getting great results, you won the overall. What made you say, I'm taking the plunge and jump on?
I wanted to go professional. I wanted to do it. I wanted to be a professional bodybuilder.
What's going on YouTube, it's Jason, and in this video we are going to be attempting to answer the question, are steroids really worth it? Now, steroids over the past 3 to 5 years have become massively popular, especially among the younger generation, and this, to be honest, has shocked me. I know about body dysmorphia, I know about the pressures to look good and social media and all that good stuff, but I've been training about 20 years now, and when I was growing up, the people that were taking steroids were in their late 20s and 30s, but it seems now we have a bit more of a steroid pandemic among the youth, and guys as young as 17 and 18 are taking steroids in a bid to look like Sam Sulek. I'm not saying everyone young takes it for that reason, but he seems to have built a cult following, and a lot of people his age are starting to take it. The first guy I interview is a young guy. He's around 18 years old and has been training for just over a year. The second guy is an IFBB Pro, an absolute unit. And the third guy is an amateur bodybuilder who works in finance. He's a family man as well, so he gives us a bit of balance and a different perspective. Between the three of them, we should get some pretty good insights. So let's start off with the 18-year-old bodybuilder who's been training just over a year. This, to be honest, was the case study that shocked me the most. I still couldn't believe that people are starting so young, but I was keen to get his perspective. Just for the record, I've put an emoji over his face and changed his voice so that he can remain anonymous. So we're at the gym about to train, and I have a young bodybuilder who, for the sake of this interview, I want to call Mr. Y. So yeah, I guess give us a bit of background. Firstly, how old are you?
I'm 18.
And how long have you been training for?
A year and 7 months.
And of that year and 7 months, how long have you been on gear?
So I trained a year naturally,
yeah,
and then I started taking for 7. I've been taking for 7 months.
Cool. And what made you get on? Obviously, training for a year, results,
A lot of my friend group started taking it. I was like one of the last ones to take it, and obviously it was kind of like my work's very physically demanding as well as me trying to come to the gym as well.
Sure.
And I was like very mentally and physically drained, and all this obviously comes with a lot of energy boosts. So I thought, do you know what? It'll get me where I want to be in bodybuilding, and it will help me at work as well.
Sure.
So I decided to take it.
Is the plan to like compete long term? Is it more just for aesthetics? What's the kind of?
No, I do want to compete. Obviously, when I'm a bit older, like I'm looking more 20, 21 years old when I want to start competing.
Sure.
But for now, it's just to get a bit bigger.
What sort of price are you paying for like a cycle, like month to month? What does that look like?
So my beginner cycle only cost me, it was about £45 a month.
Yep.
It was just training Anavar, and then now it's about £90 a month, but it's going to be going up to like 130. But I think 130 is where it's going to be like the most I'll ever spend on it for the moment, anyways.
And 130 gives you?
It gives me 3 different compounds or 3 different wets. So like test, trend, and mastron.
Is that just the stuff? Is it including like post-cycle stuff or support stuff, anything like that, or not? Just
because I'm doing more of a cruise and blast, so there won't be any post.
Right.
But
so you're just on all
just cruising and blasting throughout the year.
So what are the benefits? I know we will speak about like I'm about to go on the side effects in a bit, but like what are the benefits? What have you seen so far while on 7 months?
The benefits are unreal. The way I feel during the day is like when I'm blasting, I feel amazing throughout the day consistently. Sure. Energy levels are crazy, appetite's crazy. My mind-muscle connection in the gym's like unreal. Sure. Every session feels great.
Fine. So I guess in terms of gains, if you were to look like either kilos or pounds, how much muscle have you gained since 7 months you start taking it?
So in just under 7 months, it's about 20 kilos.
Which?
It's still lean muscle as well.
To give you an idea, I've been training 18 years now. I've done 20 kilos in that time. This is a lot of muscle, yeah? 20 kilos in that 7 months is obscene. You would never, naturally, as a beginner, you're looking at like 5 to 7 kilos in a year if things go well. So yes, that's a lot of gains. Strength-wise, what sort of numbers?
Through the roof. My bench, I gained like 30 kilos on.
Wow.
My deadlift was insane, it was like more like 60 kilos. And my squat, I gained about 40 kilos as well.
So that's a lot. So side effects, all in all, like 7 months, has it just been smooth? Obviously when you've been cruising, blah, blah, but have you had anything that's like, anything that people need to be aware of? Anything at all?
I think when you're cruising, your mental health's quite low, motivation's quite low.
Trend side
The
effects?
trend side effects were quite rough. My cycle was terrible. I was taking the wrong stuff at the wrong time.
Fine.
I started lactating, I started getting really aggressive and also really emotional as well,
Right.
which obviously just put my estrogen through the roof. Sure.
And lactate, by the way, is literally when you start leaking from your tit.
Mine wasn't actually milk though, it was more like oil. So it was like estrogen build-up behind my nipples. Yikes. And it also messed with my liver a lot, which was an expensive recovery. Sure. Cost a lot to fix.
Oh, to actually get that back to
Normal. I had to, yeah, it was cost me about £80 to get everything.
And I guess the ultimate thing is like, if someone's watching you now at home and thinking, I also want to jump on, what would you say to them?
I would say before hopping on, make sure your research is perfect and you know what you're doing and know what you're talking about. Because that was my issue. The reason I experienced the lactating and the other side effects is because I was taking two things together that I shouldn't be taking. Obviously, the benefits outweigh the negatives when you're doing it properly. Longevity-wise, probably not. Obviously, I can't talk on that because I haven't got the experience on it, you know. But for short term at the moment, I'd say if you're ready for it, and mentally you're ready for it, physically you're ready for it, and you've done your research, I mean, as long as you do it correctly, there's not really no reason why not to, if you're ready for it.
And to be honest, that's what I tell a lot of people, because at the end of the day, people go out on a night out and do all sorts of drugs. So I'm not here.
Yeah, it's better than drinking and doing other drugs.
Dad's so not to do it. I think responsible taking is a big one. And I guess the last bonus question, I ask everyone this because it is a big thing at the moment. Did you feel a social media pressure from the likes of the Sam Suleks, them boys, looking massive and jacked at their age? Did you feel like that looks sick, I want some of that? Was there anything about that at all, or just literally mates for you?
See, I wouldn't say there's like a pressure to do it, but I'd say social media definitely does play an effect on body dysmorphia and
Mental image? 100%.
like physical body image. Because like, say for example, like Sam Sulek is like 21 years old, he's ridiculous. Yeah, you stand there and you're thinking, at our age, you obviously, you're comparing yourself to fully grown men who've been taking gear for like 5-6 years, training for double that, and it's like, it makes you think, oh, I should be on their level. But obviously you shouldn't be. No. You really shouldn't be. And you see everything's all in perfect lighting, perfect posing, you know, pumps and perfect water retention, and it's just like, it makes you think that you should look like that, but in reality you shouldn't, because it's unrealistic.
And I think that's where, the last thing I say on it, that's where we had the edge growing up. When I was training back in the day, because social media wasn't really a thing, we just had Facebook. All you were doing was comparing yourself to your mates. Now I can see a million people who are bigger and more shredded than me, and that you can't say it doesn't affect you. Same way women get affected when they see all these perfect airbrush women. As guys, you know, growing up.
Exact same thing. Yeah, you feel insecure about the way you look. Sure, you shouldn't.
So yeah, Mr. Y, that's everything. I thank you very much for your time and the honesty.
Wow, really interesting interview from Mr. Y. I'm not going to say anything just yet. I want to wait till all the 3 interviews are done and then give my comments at the end. So let's go on to interview number 2 with Yuya, the IFBB Pro. So for those of you outside the bodybuilding world, an IFBB Pro is a professional bodybuilder and it's the highest level of bodybuilder. So these guys know a thing or two about gear.
So, Yuya, in terms of your training experience, do you mind just letting us know how long you've been training for in total?
I've got to do the maths now. Like training with your boys and going to the gym just to have a good time, and then training to be a bodybuilder is 2 different things.
Sure,
So I'd say training to be a bodybuilder, I'd say 10 years. So 2014.
And at what stage in that journey did you jump on gear?
2021, so that's 3 years ago.
3 years ago. So 7 years. 7 years natural.
Yeah,
yep.
7 years natural. I did 2 competitions in that time naturally. So one I didn't win, got last place. Not last, 8 out of 9. So I see that was last place anyway.
Yeah, you're not going to finish it.
Yeah, and then the other one I won. So.
And what made you? You're getting great results. You won the overall. What made you say, I'm taking the plunge and jump on?
I wanted to go professional. I wanted to do it. I wanted to be a professional bodybuilder. I knew how to train, I knew how to diet already. I had all the basics on lock. And I was at the right age. I was 31 years old at the time. Did I say 31? Why do I keep saying 31? I was 34.
34?
Yeah, I'm 36 now. Yeah, I was 34 when I jumped on.
And what did gear do for you? Did you notice a difference?
Yes, there was a significant change. But it wasn't like I went from what do you call it, a tiny guy to run a coma the next day. I just you could just see difference in the muscle. So I actually remember when I competed in 2019 and I won natural. I was 80 kg on stage, right?
Yep.
And then when I competed enhanced in 2021, I was 85 kg.
And what gear did you take? We've heard a couple of other interviews. We've heard a lot of different names that probably people don't recognize.
Mm-hmm. Just the basic test, primo, maximum. That's it.
Have you suffered any side effects while on, or anything outside the norm? Because a lot of people that don't understand about it and just literally read BBC News are like, everyone gets a heart attack, and basically like
it's painted in such a bad light where once you take it, you're gonna die. But if they actually do your research and find out what are these things, you will realize, okay, these compounds are actually designed to help people who are sick. I had no side effects whatsoever. Like people always ask me, oh yeah, do you have any side effects? Personally, no. I don't know why. That's just me. I know some people who would take like triple what I'm taking, and they got no side effects either. I know people who take what I take and have side effects. That people, it's just okay. That's another thing about compound. It's relative to everyone's body reacts to things differently. You might drink milk and you might be in the toilet for 2 days. Someone else drinks a gallon of milk and they're okay. So it's all relative to the person.
But is it also in a way dose dependent? Like if you were to go 10x your dose, you would probably encounter more side effects, right? As you,
of course, obviously, I don't do recreational drugs, and I would never. But people that do recreational drugs, the smart ones are the ones that just do it on the side, just have it. But the ones that abuse it, what happens to them?
Of course,
they die the next day.
And they become the person on the front cover of the papers, being like, "Don't do drugs, kids."
That's even worse for you than gear. The reason why I say it's worse for you than gear is because if you're sick, your doctor is not going to prescribe you coke, is it?
Coke? No, never. Zero.
But if you got asthma, you got low testosterone, what's he going to prescribe you? He might prescribe you Winstrol, might prescribe you TRT. Like I said earlier, people are just not educated on what gear actually is. Yes, it's risky and dangerous, but at the same time, it can be done very, very safe if you're smart about it.
And this is a side question. Would you have jumped on if you didn't have guidance from a coach? Or was it very much like you put
No, absolutely not. I had to, because I don't know nothing about it.
Right.
Before I jumped, I had zero clue.
Sure.
If you don't have genetics to be a bodybuilder, there's nothing you can do. There's no amount of gear you can do. There's no amount of training you can do. There's no amount of food you can eat. Like, I always give this example, if there are two guys, right, who, let's take this to me and you hypothetically, right? Me and you, we do the same gear, we do the same food, train the exact same way, 100%. Everything we do is the same, right? We step on stage. One is going to be superior.
Final question, and I'll go into a bonus question. If someone was sitting at home, young or old, and they were contemplating gear, as someone who's kind of been on it, a bit more experienced, what would you say to them?
I can't tell someone do it, don't do it. Like, it's your own life at the end of the day. What is your why? If it's just to boost your own confidence, your own body dysmorphia, make sure that your body can actually receive this thing. So when I say that, go and get your blood work done. I get my blood work done 4 times a year. 4 times a year. Advice from, obviously your doctor's not gonna, your GP is not gonna tell you to jump on gear. Get advice from trusted people. Don't go off the internet.
So I guess final kind of bonus question. Let's say we're too late, and let's say a 19-year-old has already jumped on gear. Hey, Yink, I'm already on. Can you help with anything or give me advice on what to do?
Depends on what he wants to help with. You can't undo what you've done. So first of all, why do you want to keep staying on? Because you have to understand the repercussions as well that comes with taking PEDs. Sure. You might face side effects in the future. Are you prepared to face that if it does happen? That's the question you have to ask yourself.
Do you recommend bloods to know what's going on? If you're taking gear, would you say as like?
Of course, that's non-negotiable. Yeah, even if you don't get it, you should always get your blood checked. Find out what needs to be corrected. Find out what you can do better, Me personally, I've never had any issue with my blood really. So
yeah, no, Yinka, thank you so much, bro. Appreciate it.
all right, bro. Take it easy.
Take care. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
So there we have it, guys. Interview number 2 from a professional bodybuilder. So let's move on to interview number 3, a guy I call Mr. X. A bit of background about Mr. X. Mr. X grew up and was a decent 800 meter runner. He ran a PB of 1:45. For those of you that know, that is pretty quick. He has a master's degree in sports science and currently works as a senior exec in finance. So although he is an amateur bodybuilder, the other elements of his life should give us some different insights. So if we go into like your training journey, how long have you been training for before you jumped on gear?
So I've started training age 13. That was the thing where I'm from in South Africa. Age 13 for rugby training, and I haven't touched PEDs or steroids or any growth hormones or any hormones until the ripe old age of 33.
So you're training from 13 up to the age of 33. Things are obviously going well, you're progressing. What is it that made you take the plunge and actually jump on gear?
Well, my first show was totally natural, my second show, and I placed 3rd out of 13, which was not bad, and you know, in classic bodybuilding, which is these days not to be confused with NPC classic physique. After my second show, I qualified for British finals in 2014, and that was when I started to dabble with very minute amounts of performance enhancement drugs. Not because I wanted to, but I always use the analogy of, you're gonna go to race against Porsches, you can't bring a Volkswagen Golf. Well, maybe you can, but with a Porsche motor in it, or you know.
So obviously you jumped on to be competitive and take things to the next level. What did gear do for you?
Well, the differences were quite clear. I say to people not to condone the usage, but it makes you a little bit into Superman. Your recovery is so much better. Your protein synthesis is so much better. If you have the genetic ability, it will enhance you quite much quicker than Joe Blogs. My favorite stack is bread and butter. Bread and butter is your testosterone base, and then decadurablin, nandrolone, which I absolutely love.
In all your years, you're talking about maybe over 10 years now, maybe playing with stuff, have you experienced any side effects, even if they're mild?
Side effects, right? So, right, I've had anything from on contest prep, erectile dysfunction, to lactating from DECA, about erectile dysfunction, bad lipids, hematocrit too high, bad kidney values, poor liver values, all sorts of that.
And so I know there'll be people watching this video, I don't know what generation is below Gen Z, but that sort of age, 18 to 21, that are looking at people like Sam Sulek and C-Bum and being like, I want to look like them, I want to jump on gear. As someone who is more experienced and more rounded, what would your advice be to them?
I would say, look, drain the potential, really work hard. I would say if you go hard, if you train hard, right, and I'm talking about your nutrition, your sleep, if you get to the peak and you see you're not going anywhere, then you can start thinking, right, what's the next steps? The cusp of it, to build a good physique, to look good at a beach or in life, or to look good, you don't need steroids.
Absolutely.
Performance enhancement drugs.
So I guess on the back of that, let's say someone's already taken it. What would you say to them in line with some of the precautions you took?
I think first of all, people underestimate really how much you should do. You hear bodybuilder bro science, blood work, get your blood work done. Blood work is a snapshot in time. So what should you be doing? Well, you should have your ECGs at least 2 a year. You should have an angiogram at least a year. These things cost you thousands of pounds. The average viewer will go, wow, why would I do that? But I will still take gear. So apart from that, there are many health supplements that you can take for blood pressure, for your cholesterol, stuff like that. There's some phenomenal stuff in the market. but there is no safe usage of PEDs. There's only harm reduction.
So while we're on that topic, if someone is taking gear responsibly, how much is someone potentially spending per month between steroid usage and safety checks?
PEDs within the UK, depending on quality, is depending how much you're taking, could cost you anything from 90 to 500 pounds, depending whether you take growth hormone or not. The tests in themselves are the anterior angiogram, just for the viewers. It cost me $2.5 grand.
Whoa.
You should get that one at least once a year. ECG costs you what these days? I don't know. You might know better than me.
Yeah, that's 600 quid. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
so you should have that twice a year at least. Then I would also suggest get your kidney scanned, your liver scanned. Oh, but you don't need that. No. If you are serious about your health, you just do that. And unfortunately, most of our viewers won't have that cash to spend.
No.
So, counter question, why take steroids?
I guess the last one, kind of a bonus question. How does gear fit in with family life? And I know you have a missus and a daughter.
I've never had something called roid rage. I get, your temper do run a little bit thin towards the end of prep. But I don't think, well, it could be you've been on a prep, you're natural, you get a little bit touchy and stuff, but it's more hunger, tiredness.
Yes.
The worst is the tiredness and being depleted. When I talk to in theory about being depleted is being very, very lean. Jason saw me with striations on my calves.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, being mega depleted is a big thing, and it makes you bad. I don't think it's ever affected my family life as such.
Right.
I think steroids, if you're a bit of a numpty, I think it'll make you bigger numpty. If you chill,
Agreed, yeah.
it won't impact you.
So, as always, thank you very much for your time and input, and I'll be in touch very, very soon.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
for
you
your time.
so much.
All the best.
Cheers, take it.
So, what are my final thoughts, and have they changed since doing these interviews? Well, not really. I've always maintained that gear isn't for me, I don't agree with it, and I wouldn't recommend it, but I'm not against it per se. Like, as long as it's taken safely and it's not taken against natural competitors, then adults take drugs all the time. I'm not going to be your dad and tell you not to do it. So on the back of that, as much as I don't condone it, I think it does make sense to take steroids if you're going to be a bodybuilder and you want to compete at a high level. Having competed myself, part of the main reason I'm bowing out is because I can't compete against enhanced competitors. The level is just too high. But if you decide you want to go down that road and go pro, for example, then you kind of need to do what you have to do. So moving on to the takeaways, number one, and this was a recurring theme throughout the interviews, you do not need to get on steroids to build a good physique. A lot of people look at their favorite influencers and think that they need to take steroids to get there. You might need to take steroids to be your favorite influencer, but you don't need it to build a decent physique. If you've been training solidly for 5 to 7 years, dialing in your sleep, your nutrition, and your training, you can build an incredible physique. Granted, if you want to go on stage and become a pro bodybuilder, then that's different. But for 99.9% of people who I'm confident don't want to get into bodybuilding, you don't need steroids. Takeaway number two, gear can come with serious consequences. Mr. Y and Mr. X spoke about side effects. Both spoke about lactating from their nipple, literally leaking oil out of your nipple, which for most men is a really, really strange experience. They spoke about potential liver issues, kidney issues, high blood pressure, cholesterol, etc. It's clear that gear is not safe to take. But that being said, as Yinka mentioned, not everyone who takes steroids gets side effects. It depends on a few things. Number one, your genetics. Number two, your dosages. If you're abusing, the side effects are going to be more. And number three, it depends on the precautions that you take. Have you got a coach that can help you? Are you doing the necessary health checks? Everyone's body is different. And that brings me on to point number three, and that is cost. Mr. X mentioned that
To actually take gear responsibly, so buy the gear that you need and do all the necessary health checks, you can end up spending something like £500 to £700 per month. And so you're looking at between £7,000 and £10,000 a year if you want to take gear safely. And even then, you're not going to mitigate all risk. So this is one of my main issues with gear. Most people won't spend the 7 to 10k they need to spend to look after their health, because being frank, that's more than most people can afford. They will just take the steroids, not do the health checks, and then stuff may likely go wrong. And the final takeaway, if you do decide to hop on gear, make sure that everything else is dialed in. It was very clear from Mr. X and Yinka that gear is not a magic pill. You're not going to just do 2 press-ups and suddenly look like Arnie. If you don't have your sleep dialed in, your nutrition dialed in, your training dialed in, and the main thing, genetics, you're probably not going to see the results that you want to see. And to be honest, I can confirm this is true. I've met a number of people down the gym who tell me they've been on gear for like 2 or 3 years, and they don't even look that great. Like, you wouldn't even know they're on gear. They don't do the right stuff, they haven't got the genetics, and they look pretty normal, to be honest. So yeah guys, that's everything. Hope you found this informative. I thought it would help to bring people into your world who you perhaps wouldn't otherwise meet. So we've all got some rare insights on gear and its use. Now, I hope this video may deter more people, especially young people 17, 18, 19, jumping on gear. Or at least, if you're going to jump on gear, you're an adult, but at least do it responsibly. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like it if you did. Leave a comment below, let me know your thoughts. Did you learn something new? Do you disagree with anything that was said? Let me know. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you again tomorrow.